Square Enix once towered over the JRPG landscape, its name practically synonymous with Final Fantasy brilliance and Dragon Quest charm. Yet in just 3 years, the company watched revenue crumble from around $3 billion to $2 billion US, absorbed a jaw-dropping $140 million write-off on cancelled projects, and announced waves of layoffs across America and Europe, all while fans blasted surprise censorship patches and baffling exclusivity deals. The giant suddenly looked fragile, propped up by a single MMO lifeline and scrambling to calm investors. But amid the turmoil, pockets of creative fire still burned. Some titles unexpectedly soared, and others now carry sky-high expectations. Let's dive into 10 games that have either rescued Square Enix's reputation or are poised to do so very soon. 8 Travelers, 8 Tangled Destinies, Octopath Traveler II transformed that simple premise into Square Enix's stealth hit of the decade. Launched first on Switch and PlayStation before marching to Windows and Xbox a year later, the HD 2D showcase proved turn-based battles and pixel dioramas could still dazzle modern screens. Critics praised its richer crosspaths, dynamic day-night skills, and a score that swells from lonely flute to full orchestra in a single boost turn, earning generally favorable verdicts across every platform. Players responded in kind. Sales sailed past 1 million within 4 months, handily beating the original's curve and giving Square Enix a badly needed win, while bigger budgets stumbled. The secret weapon was freedom. Each chapter could be cleared in any order, letting streamers craft unique road trips that flooded social feeds with spoiler-free hype. Add quality-of-life perks like shared EXP, fast-forward dialogue, and instant path action previews, and newcomers slipped into Celestia without a grind wall. Internally, executives now cite the game as proof they're less projects. Higher polish mantra can pay off, greenlighting a prequel subtitled Zero for holiday release. But before we look forward, let's rewind to another remade legend that blew past expectations and unearthed buried treasure for Square's balance sheet. Imagine a 36-year-old JRPG crushing modern blockbusters. That's exactly what happened when Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake hit storefronts last November. The reimagined classic blended glittering Octopath-style pixels with the original's sweeping, turn-based adventure, and fans couldn't resist. In its first week, it topped every Japanese sales chart, then raced past 2 million units worldwide, beating Square Enix's own targets months ahead of schedule. Critics praised it as the perfect gateway RPG, nostalgic for veterans, streamlined for newcomers, and gorgeous on any screen. More importantly, the runaway success proved that there's serious money in turn-based design, a genre many publishers had written off as too slow for 2025. Inside the company, executives hailed the remake as proof their new quality over quantity approach can work, greenlighting more HD 2D revivals and sparking rumors of a full Erdrick trilogy refresh. With collectible updates and speedrun events already driving social buzz, Dragon Quest III isn't fading anytime soon. But Square Enix won't stop at retro triumphs. The next revival targets a very different corner of its storied library, and expectations couldn't be higher. "25 years ago, Final Fantasy IX waved goodbye with crystal clarity and a swirl of medieval whimsy. Now rumors suggest Square Enix is rebuilding the entire adventure in Unreal Engine 5 art direction preserved, scale dialed up. Internal documents leaked during the spring layoffs list Project Meguri as a flagship quality over quantity title, backed by the same cinematic tools used for Dawn Trail's cutscenes. Reports claim the team's target is a 2027 launch across PlayStation 5, Series X, S, Switch 2, and PC, marking one of the first day-one multi-platform pushes under Square Enix's new strategy. Early demos shown to partners apparently showcase hand-painted Alexandria streets, real-time Moogle mail, and a re-orchestrated score that swells dynamically in combat. Combat itself keeps the classic active time battle grid but layers in contextual team attacks. Imagine Steiner's sword igniting mid-swing as Vivi channels a quick cast fire spell without pausing the flow. Perhaps most exciting, sources hint at playable flashbacks for Zidane's mysterious past, giving longtime fans fresh lore while staying true to the original heart. If Square Enix lands this balancing act, the company may prove that the golden age of turn-based epics isn't merely collectible nostalgia, it's tomorrow's headline. Aya Brea has been dormant for 13 years, but rumors suggest she's about to wake up in Square Enix's first full-scale horror RPG in a decade, Parasite Eve, Mitogenesis. Insider reports claim the team behind Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's real-time combat is rebuilding the classic inside Unreal Engine 5, pushing photoreal New York streets that blister and melt into nightmare biology on the fly. The pitch is simple: keep the mitochondria run amok premise, ditch the fixed cameras, and hand players a living city where any alley can explode into boss territory. Early focus test notes tease adaptive mutations. The longer you linger, the stronger the monsters grow, forcing bold, mobile tactics instead of safe farming. Combat still uses brief tactical pause windows, but now you can chain gunfire, biotech powers, and environmental traps detonate a gas main, then flash freeze the flaming spores before they reform. Square Enix reportedly targets a 2028 launch across every major platform, with a playable slice whispered for next summer's Game Fest. If Mitogenesis lands, it could crack open a long, silent cult favorite, proving the publisher can thrive outside fantasy realms, and reminding everyone why science, horror, and JRPG depth once mixed so explosively. Ramza and Delita ride again, this time in sparkling high definition. Final Fantasy Tactics. The Ivalice Chronicles lands on every major platform at the end of September, serving up two distinct ways to wage war. An enhanced edition rebuilt in Unreal with voiced cutscenes, autosave, and a gentler Squire difficulty, and a classic option that mirrors the 1997 original frame for frame. Story beats stay intact, noble intrigue, buried history, Zodiac stones, but the battlefield now crackles with dynamic weather, new camera angles, and instant job change previews that slash menu diving. Veterans can fast-forward enemy turns, while newcomers get a clean tutorial that explains CT math without a spreadsheet. Developer interviews reveal lost dialogue restored between key characters, adding bite to Delita's slow-burn revolt, and extra insight into Agrias's hidden motives. Square Enix hopes the remake's sharper tactics and modern conveniences will pull strategy fans who bounced off grid-based combat in earlier re-releases, and early pre-order data already outpaces the company's last Tactics spin-off. If Ivalice Chronicles sticks the landing, it could cement a renaissance for big-budget tactical RPGs and prove that Square's shift from quantity to quality isn't just marketing. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis refused to repeat Square's mobile misfires, dropping first on iOS and Android in early September 2023, then sliding onto Steam 3 months later. The pint-sized remake stitched every branch of the compilation into one endlessly scrolling anthology. Nostalgic, low-poly field maps melt into full cinematic boss finishes, while monthly story beats keep players returning without the fatigue of endless dailies. A surprisingly lenient weapon, gacha no character pulls, pity guaranteed, helped the game soar past 1 million active users and cross into profitability even as older Square phone projects flatlined. Co-op raids let up to 3 friends, tag-team iconic weapons-grade monsters, and seamless cross-save means you can farm limit break mats on lunch break, then polish Sephiroth's new blade at your desktop rig. The PC launched turbocharged visibility, 60 frame captures flooded TikTok, modders swapped Cloud's Buster Sword for frying pans, and lore hunters data-mined clues about a coming Young Aerith chapter. With Year 1 anniversary events promising free costumes and double-draw banners, Ever Crisis now stands as Square's rare mobile win, evidence that reverence, not gimmicks, fuels retention. Project Triangle Tactics 2, still a codename, but Square Enix has been dropping breadcrumbs since spring showcases. The HD 2D strategy sequel picks up a decade after Glenbrook's War, letting you guide 3 new nobles who each swear loyalty to a different creed: wealth, faith, or freedom. Choice still rules everything. Every chapter ends with a 3-way vote, yet this time persuasion runs deep. A gift, a rival scarce iron, reveals secret letters, even sabotage their convoy before ballots are cast. Gameplay demos shown behind closed doors at Gamescom highlight battlefields that dwarf the first game: stacked rooftops, underground aqueducts, and shifting sand dunes that collapse under heavy armor. Elevation now matters more. Archers gain triple range on steeples, but lightning spells short, circuit metal bridges, and plunge units into water for bonus damage. A reworked convictions grid finally displays your hidden alignment, sparing players spreadsheet guesswork. The biggest twist is release strategy. Square confirms Day 1 launch on Switch 2, PlayStation 5, Series X, and PC. Proof the new multi-platform or bust mantra is real. Internal revenue targets cite $3 million in Year 1, double the original's lifetime, and early wishlist numbers look promising. If Triangle Tactics 2 delivers, Square could turn niche tactics into its next mass-market pillar and silence critics who said grid combat was yesterday's news. The DioField Chronicle arrived without fanfare in 2022, but its quiet genius is now earning recognition as one of Square Enix's most underrated gems. Mixing real-time tactical battles with stunning diorama visuals, this strategy RPG hybrid found its audience through word of mouth and deep discount sales that turned curious browsers into devoted converts. What starts as a straightforward mercenary tale evolves into political intrigue worthy of Game of Thrones fitting, since composer Ramin Djawadi scored both projects. The real-time tactical battle system breaks every strategy game rule. No grids, no turns, just fluid positioning where you pause to plan devastating combo chains. Watch your swordsman rush behind enemies while your archer pins them with suppressing volleys, then unleash a Bahamut summon to clear the field in one blinding flourish. Character progression runs deeper than most AAA releases, with weapon upgrades that completely reshape abilities and mercenary rankings that unlock game-changing perks. Recent sales data shows the game's legs are stronger than Square Enix initially projected, with Steam reviews climbing from mixed to very positive as strategy fans discover its tactical depth. The success is inspiring internal discussions about a potential sequel, proving that sometimes the quietest launches hide the biggest surprises. Shibuya's crosswalk pulses again in Neo. The World Ends With You, the sequel that turned cult nostalgia into cult classic status. Released on Switch and PlayStation 4 summers ago and now blazing at 60 frames on Switch 2, the game ditches stylus swipes for full 3D free-running while doubling down on what fans loved: pins, fashion, and a soundtrack that crackles like late-night radio. Combat is controlled chaos. Each party member equips a psychic pin, mapped to its own button. Chaining different pins triggers beat drops that pump your groove gauge. Hit 100% and the squad unleashes a screen, shaking mashup that melts noise in seconds. With more than 300 pins to mix and evolve, meta hunters still post weekly God builds, keeping streamer interest high years later. Outside battles, Shibuya is a living style lab. Stuff your crew with ramen to boost attack, then hit Cat Street boutiques for threads that unlock hidden abilities if your style stat is high enough. The social network system rewards side quests with new traversal powers, rewind time, teleport across rooftops, or dive into an NPC's mind to clear their doubts. Recent Switch 2 re-release sales already rival the original launch week, proving neon-soaked action and dizzying J-pop attitude never go out of style. Cloud's road trip across Gaia landed with roaring applause, yet sales stalled when the game locked itself to a single console. Square Enix's fix? Open the throttle. By early next spring, Rebirth will roll onto personal computers, Xbox, and the next-gen Switch, ending 18 months of platform limbo and tapping millions of waiting wallets. Reviewers already hailed the release as a masterclass in seamless party chemistry, praising how banter shifts organically from chocobo races to cosmic dread without load screens. A recent performance patch doubled handheld frame rates and slipped in New Game Plus, sparking a fresh influencer sprint for perfect S-rank hunts. Behind the curtain, the publisher's finance team views the wider launch as a litmus test for its new day-one multi-platform strategy. If Rebirth's second wind outpaces the pricey exclusivity check, Sony once wrote, future flagships will likely skip timed deals entirely. Community chatter is equally vital. Square Enix fast-tracked a fan feedback portal after backlash over Tifa's surprise costume edits, promising optional visual toggles so players choose classic or censored looks. It is a small concession, but one analyst believes could rebuild fragile trust before the studio dives into the trilogy's climactic chapter, where expectations and the stakes can only rise higher. Square Enix's recent stumbles show how quickly a titan can slip, but these 10 projects prove the studio still wields some of the industry's brightest creative sparks. If the company can pair bold multi-platform releases with lessons learned from its past missteps, the next era might turn turmoil into triumph once more.